In a distant corner of the galaxy, humanity stood alone as an oddity. While other intelligent species chose to live in quiet fear, humans boldly explored the stars. The year was 3124, and Earth's exploration vessel, the *Odyssey*, drifted through uncharted space under the command of Captain Ryan Carter. His crew consisted of skilled individuals, each chosen for their unique talents. Lieutenant Laura Hayes was a sharp-minded scientist who could solve problems no one else understood. Commander Jake Monroe was a fearless pilot with quick reflexes, and Dr. Emily Blake, a xenobiologist, spent her days studying alien life forms, always eager to learn more about the universe. The *Odyssey* had been sent on a mission to explore a mysterious region of space where strange signals had been detected. These signals were unlike anything Earth scientists had ever encountered. Some believed they might be messages from an ancient civilization, while others thought they could be natural phenomena. Whatever the source, the signals were strong enough to draw the attention of the United Galactic Council, a group of alien leaders who watched humanity's every move with suspicion. As the ship approached the source of the signals, the crew gathered in the control room. Ryan stood at the center, his eyes fixed on the main screen. "We're close," he said, his voice calm but firm. "Everyone, stay alert. We don't know what we're dealing with here." Laura nodded, her fingers flying over the console as she analyzed the data. "The signals are coming from a planet in this system," she reported. "It's small, rocky, and has traces of old structures on the surface." Jake leaned back in his seat, his hands resting on the controls. "Old structures? You mean ruins?" he asked. "Could be," Laura replied. "But we won't know until we get closer." Dr. Blake stepped forward, her eyes wide with excitement. "If there are ruins, it means someone, or something, was here before us. This could be the discovery of the century." Ryan gave a small smile. "Let's not get ahead of ourselves. We need to focus on landing safely first." With that, he turned to Jake. "Take us down, Commander." The descent to the planet's surface was smooth, but the landscape below was anything but welcoming. The ground was covered in gray dust, and jagged rocks jutted out like broken teeth. In the distance, the ruins loomed, a collection of crumbling towers and collapsed walls that hinted at a once great civilization. As the crew stepped onto the surface, they felt a strange sense of unease. The air was thick with silence, broken only by the sound of their boots crunching against the dusty ground. Dr. Blake immediately began examining the ruins, her scanner beeping softly as she moved from one structure to another. "These aren't just random buildings," she said after a few minutes. "They were designed to store information. Look at these carvings. They're symbols, maybe even a language." Laura joined her, peering closely at the markings. "If we can decode them, we might learn why this place was abandoned." Ryan crossed his arms, scanning the horizon. "Be careful," he warned. "We don't know what, or who, might still be around." As the crew worked, none of them noticed the faint shimmer in the air nearby. Hidden among the ruins, representatives of the Cowardly Alliance watched silently. They had seen humanity's boldness before and feared what it might mean for the galaxy. But for now, they stayed hidden, observing the humans' every move. Back on the *Odyssey*, the crew didn't realize they were being watched. Their focus was entirely on unraveling the mystery of the ruins. Little did they know, this discovery would lead them into a conflict that would test not only their courage, but also the very fate of the galaxy. For now, though, they pressed on, driven by curiosity and the unshakable human spirit. As the crew of the *Odyssey* continued exploring the ruins, they uncovered more clues about the civilization that had once thrived there. Dr. Emily Blake worked tirelessly, brushing away layers of dust from the ancient carvings on the walls. The symbols were intricate, resembling a mix of lines, circles, and strange shapes that seemed to tell a story. Laura Hayes joined her, using her scanner to record every detail. "These markings are some kind of writing," Laura said, her voice filled with wonder. "If we can decode them, we might learn what happened here." Jake Monroe stood nearby, keeping an eye on the horizon. He didn't like how quiet everything was. The silence felt unnatural, as if the planet itself was holding its breath. "We should be careful," he muttered. "This place gives me a bad feeling." Ryan Carter nodded in agreement but urged the team to keep going. "We're here to find answers," he reminded them. "Let's stay focused." After hours of work, Dr. Blake made a breakthrough. She pointed to a series of carvings that depicted a group of aliens standing together, their expressions somber. "Look at this," she said. "It seems like they were part of some kind of alliance. And these symbols here, they talk about peace and survival." Laura leaned closer, her eyes narrowing. "Survival? What do you think they were trying to survive?" Before anyone could answer, a low hum filled the air. The sound grew louder, vibrating through the ground beneath their feet. Jake instinctively reached for his weapon, scanning the area for any sign of danger. Then, without warning, a shimmering portal appeared in front of them. From it stepped a tall, insect-like creature with glowing green eyes. Its body was covered in a hard, metallic exoskeleton, and its movements were slow but deliberate. The creature introduced itself as Zixor, a representative of the Cowardly Alliance. Through a translator device attached to its chest, it spoke in a deep, resonant voice. "You must leave this place," Zixor commanded. "Your presence here is not welcome." Ryan stepped forward, his expression calm but firm. "We mean no harm," he replied. "We're explorers, searching for knowledge. Can you tell us who built these ruins?" Zixor hesitated, its glowing eyes flickering slightly. "This world belonged to a race that chose peace over conflict," it explained. "They formed the Cowardly Alliance to ensure no one would repeat the mistakes of the past. But your kind, humans, are reckless. You seek power and destruction. That is why we fear you." Laura frowned, shaking her head. "That's not true," she argued. "Humans have flaws, yes, but we also strive to protect and understand. We're not here to cause trouble." Zixor tilted its head, studying her closely. "Perhaps," it said after a moment, "but I have been instructed to observe you. If you wish to remain, you will accept my guidance." With that, another figure emerged from the portal, a humanoid alien named Kayla. Her skin was translucent, allowing glimpses of her inner workings, and her large, almond-shaped eyes reflected both curiosity and caution. "I will monitor your actions," she said softly. "Do not attempt to deceive me." Ryan exchanged a glance with his crew. They all knew this was a risky situation, but leaving now would mean abandoning their mission. "Fine," Ryan said finally. "We'll cooperate, for now. But we're not leaving until we've learned what we came here to find." Over the next few days, Kayla accompanied the crew as they explored deeper into the ruins. She watched their every move, sometimes asking questions about their methods or motivations. At first, her presence made everyone uneasy, but Dr. Blake began to see her as more than just a spy. There was a sadness in Kayla's eyes, a longing for something she couldn't quite express. One evening, as the sun dipped below the horizon, casting long shadows across the ruins, Laura approached Kayla. "Why do you call yourselves cowards?" she asked gently. Kayla paused, her gaze distant. "Because we ran when we should have fought," she admitted. "And now we live in fear of making the same mistake again." Laura didn't respond immediately. Instead, she looked up at the stars, wondering what other secrets the galaxy held. For now, the crew had gained a reluctant ally in Kayla, but they still had much to uncover about the Cowardly Alliance and the ruins that surrounded them. Over the next few days, Kayla's presence became a constant part of the crew's routine. At first, her quiet demeanor and watchful eyes made everyone uneasy. Jake Monroe, in particular, didn't trust her. "She's spying on us," he muttered to Ryan Carter one evening as they reviewed the day's findings. "We can't let our guard down." Ryan nodded but reminded him, "For now, she's the only link we have to the Cowardly Alliance. We need to play this smart." Dr. Emily Blake, however, saw things differently. She spent hours talking to Kayla, asking questions about her species and their history. Slowly, Kayla began opening up. One afternoon, as they sat near the edge of the ruins, Kayla shared a story about her people. "We were once like you," she said softly. "Curious, bold, eager to explore. But after the Great War, everything changed. Billions died, entire planets were destroyed. My ancestors vowed never to repeat those mistakes." Laura Hayes listened intently, her notebook in hand. "But isn't avoiding all conflict just another kind of mistake?" she asked. Kayla hesitated, her translucent skin shimmering faintly in the sunlight. "Perhaps," she admitted, "but fear is easier than courage." As the days passed, the crew uncovered more about the ancient civilization that had built the ruins. The carvings told a grim tale. A parasitic entity known as the Void had once threatened the galaxy. It consumed entire worlds, leaving nothing behind but empty husks. The Cowardly Alliance, then a loose coalition of species, had fled instead of fighting. They abandoned their technology and hid, hoping the Void would burn itself out. Ryan gathered the team to discuss their findings. "This changes everything," he said, pacing back and forth. "If the Cowardly Alliance ran from the Void, it means they're not just afraid of us. They're afraid of what's out there." Laura nodded, pointing to the data on her tablet. "And if the Void is still out there, it could be a threat to everyone, including Earth." Jake frowned, crossing his arms. "So what? Are we supposed to fight the Void for them? That's insane." Dr. Blake shook her head. "Not necessarily. But we need to know more before we jump to conclusions. Maybe the Cowardly Alliance has information that could help us." Kayla, who had been quietly observing the conversation, suddenly spoke up. "The Void was thought to be gone," she said. "But recently, there have been whispers, signs that it might be returning." Her words sent a chill through the room. Ryan turned to her, his expression serious. "Why didn't you tell us this sooner?" "I wasn't sure I could trust you," Kayla admitted. "But now, I think you deserve to know." Laura leaned forward, her curiosity piqued. "What kind of signs? Where is the Void now?" Kayla hesitated, clearly conflicted. "I don't have all the answers, but Zixer and the others are worried. They see humanity as both a danger and a potential savior." That night, Ryan couldn't sleep. He walked outside, staring up at the stars. Kayla joined him, standing silently beside him. "You humans are strange," she said after a while. "You face danger head-on, even when it scares you. Why do you do that?" Ryan smiled faintly. "Because running away doesn't solve anything. Sometimes you have to stand your ground, even if it costs you everything." Kayla looked at him, her large eyes filled with a mixture of admiration and uncertainty. Maybe you're right," she whispered. "But bravery comes with a price. Are you prepared to pay it?" Before Ryan could answer, an alarm blared from the Odyssey *. Everyone rushed back to the ship to find Zixer waiting for them on the main screen. His glowing eyes were stern, his voice cold. "Leave this planet immediately," he demanded. "Your presence here endangers us all." Ryan stepped forward, meeting Zixer's gaze without flinching. "We're not going anywhere," he said firmly. "Not until we understand the truth about the Void. And about you." Zixer's expression darkened, but before he could respond, Kayla stepped into view. "Let them stay," she said, her voice steady despite the tension in the air. "They deserve a chance to prove themselves." For a moment, no one spoke. Then Zixer sighed, his tone grudging. "Very well. But know this, if you fail, it will be on your heads." With that, the transmission ended. The crew exchanged glances, knowing they had crossed a line. But Ryan felt a spark of hope. For the first time, they weren't alone in their quest. Kayla's support, though small, was a step toward uncovering the secrets of the Cowardly Alliance and preparing for whatever lay ahead. The next morning, the crew of the Odyssey * gathered in the ship's control room to plan their next move. Kayla stood quietly in the corner, her presence now a mix of ally and observer. Ryan Carter addressed the group, his tone firm but calm. "We've learned a lot about the Cowardly Alliance and the Void," he began. "But we still don't know where the Void is or how close it might be. We need more answers." Dr. Emily Blake nodded, holding up her tablet. "The ruins have given us clues, but we're missing something big. If the Void is returning, we need to find out why and how to stop it." Laura Hayes added, "Kayla mentioned whispers among the Cowardly Alliance. Maybe they've been tracking the Void all along." Jake Monroe crossed his arms, skeptical as always. "Even if they have, why would they share that information with us? They've done nothing but hold us back so far." Ryan turned to Kayla. "You said the Cowardly Alliance fears the Void. Do you think they've been hiding evidence about it?" Kayla hesitated, her translucent skin shimmering faintly. "It's possible," she admitted. "The leaders of the Alliance keep many secrets, but there are others, like me, who believe running away won't solve anything. If you want answers, I can help you find them." Ryan nodded, grateful for her willingness to assist. "Good. Then let's focus on uncovering what the Cowardly Alliance knows. Laura, work with Kayla to analyze the data from the ruins. Emily, see if you can find any patterns in the signals we detected earlier. Jake, keep an eye on our surroundings. We don't know who, or what, might be watching us." As the team dispersed, Kayla pulled Laura aside. "There's a place deep within the ruins," she whispered. "A hidden chamber that only members of the Alliance are allowed to enter. If anyone has information about the Void, it will be there." Laura's eyes widened. "Can you take us there?" Kayla nodded, though her expression was uneasy. "I'll try, but if we're caught, it could mean trouble for both of us." Later that day, Kayla led Laura and Dr. Blake through a narrow passageway in the ruins. The air grew colder as they descended, and the walls were covered in strange symbols that glowed faintly in the dim light. "This way," Kayla said, her voice barely above a whisper. At the end of the passage, they found a massive door etched with intricate carvings. Kayla placed her hand on the door, and it slid open with a low hum. Inside, the chamber was filled with glowing crystals suspended in midair. Each crystal pulsed with light, projecting images and data onto the walls. Laura gasped, her scanner already picking up valuable information. "This is incredible," she said. "It's like a library of everything the Cowardly Alliance has ever known." Dr. Blake moved closer to one of the crystals, studying the projections. "Look at this," she said, pointing to a series of maps. "These show the path of the Void as it spread across the galaxy. And here, it mentions a weakness, something called harmonic resonance." Laura quickly jotted down notes. "If we can figure out how to use harmonic resonance, maybe we can weaken the Void." Kayla frowned, shaking her head. "The Alliance abandoned this technology long ago. They feared it might cause more harm than good." Before they could discuss further, a loud alarm echoed through the chamber. Red lights flashed, and the door behind them slammed shut. "We've been discovered," Kayla said urgently. "We need to leave, now." The three of them hurried back toward the entrance, but guards from the Cowardly Alliance blocked their path. Zixer stepped forward, his glowing eyes blazing with anger. "You have violated our trust," he growled. "You will leave this planet immediately, or face the consequences." Ryan and Jake arrived just in time, weapons drawn. "Stand down," Ryan ordered, stepping between Zixer and his crew. "We're not leaving until we've done what needs to be done." Zixer hesitated, clearly torn between his duty and the growing unease among his own people. Finally, he stepped back, his voice cold. "Very well, but know this. If the Void returns, it will be because of your recklessness." As the crew returned to the Odyssey *, they knew they had made a powerful enemy. But they also had hope. The data they had collected gave them a fighting chance against the Void, if they could unlock its secrets in time. For now, humanity's courage had kept them one step ahead. But the real battle was only beginning. Back aboard the Odyssey *, tensions ran high as the crew gathered in the ship's main control room. The data they had collected from the hidden chamber was spread across multiple screens, glowing with potential answers, but also raising new questions. Dr. Emily Blake stared at the maps and symbols, her mind racing. Harmonic resonance, she murmured. If we can figure out how to use it, we might be able to weaken the void. Laura Hayes worked alongside her, typing furiously on her tablet. We'll need a lot of energy to generate something like that, she said. The ship's systems won't be enough. Jake Monroe leaned against the wall, arms crossed. So what are you saying? We need to build some kind of superweapon. Laura shook her head. Not exactly. But we'll need to modify the Odyssey's power core to handle the load. Ryan Carter stood at the center of the room, listening carefully. Do what you have to do, he said firmly. We don't have time to waste. If the void is returning, we need to be ready. Kayla, who had been quietly observing, stepped forward. The Cowardly Alliance abandoned this technology for a reason. She reminded them. It's dangerous. Are you sure you want to take that risk? Ryan met her gaze. Risk is part of the job. We're not going to sit back and let the galaxy get consumed by fear or by the void. As the team worked through the night, disagreements began to surface. Jake grew increasingly frustrated, pacing the room. This feels reckless, he muttered. We're gambling everything on an idea we barely understand. What if it doesn't work? What if we make things worse? Dr. Blake turned to him, her voice calm but firm. Doing nothing is the real gamble, she said. If we wait for the void to come to us, we'll lose any chance to fight back. At least this gives us a shot. Jake clenched his fists but didn't argue further. He knew she was right, but that didn't make the situation any easier to accept. Meanwhile, Kayla watched the humans with a mix of admiration and concern. She had spent her life believing that caution was the only way to survive. But now, seeing their determination, she couldn't help but question her own beliefs. When Laura noticed her hesitation, she approached her. You're worried about us, aren't you? Laura asked gently. Kayla nodded. I've seen what happens when fear takes over, but I've never seen anyone face danger like this, with so much hope. Laura smiled faintly. Hope is what keeps us going. Without it, we'd be just like the Cowardly Alliance. Hours turned into days as the crew worked tirelessly to prepare the Odyssey for the task ahead. They rerouted power from non-essential systems, reinforced the ship's shields, and tested the harmonic resonance device repeatedly. Each success brought a small sense of relief, but the looming threat of the void weighed heavily on everyone's minds. Finally, the moment came to leave the planet. As the Odyssey lifted off, Zixer's voice crackled over the comms one last time. You are making a grave mistake, he warned. The void will consume you, just as it has consumed others. Ryan gripped the controls, his jaw tight. Then we'll stop it before it gets the chance. Kayla stood near the viewport, watching the planet shrink into the distance. Where do we go now? She asked softly. Ryan glanced at the coordinates displayed on the screen. We follow the trail left behind in those records. If the void is out there, we'll find it. The journey ahead was uncertain, but the crew of the Odyssey faced it with resolve. They had uncovered secrets, defied enemies, and taken risks no one else would dare. For the first time, Kayla felt a spark of courage within herself, a quiet belief that maybe, just maybe, humanity's boldness could change the fate of the galaxy. As the stars stretched into streaks of light, the Odyssey sped toward its destiny. The void awaited, a shadowy threat lurking in the depths of space. But aboard the ship, hope burned brighter than ever. Whatever lay ahead, the crew was ready to face it, together. The Odyssey hurtled through the vastness of space, its engines humming with determination. The crew had followed the trail left by the ancient records, and now they were closing in on the void. No one knew exactly what to expect, but the tension aboard the ship was palpable. Ryan Carter stood at the helm, his eyes fixed on the swirling mass that appeared on the main screen, a dark, endless void that seemed to pulse with an eerie energy. Dr. Emily Blake studied the readings from her station, her brow furrowed. "It's alive," she said softly. "Not like a creature, but more like a force. It feeds on everything it touches, planets, stars, even light itself." Laura Hayes adjusted the sensors, trying to gather more data. "If we don't stop it, it'll keep spreading until there's nothing left." Jake Monroe gripped the edge of his console, his voice tight with frustration. "And how exactly are we supposed to stop something like that? We're just one ship against whatever this is." Ryan turned to face him, his expression calm but resolute. "We fight. That's all we can do. If we don't, who will?" Kayla watched the exchange silently, her translucent skin glowing faintly in the dim light of the control room. She had seen fear consume entire civilizations, but she had never witnessed courage like this. "You humans really believe you can win?" she asked, her voice barely above a whisper. Ryan nodded. "Winning isn't always about surviving. Sometimes it's about doing what's right, even if it costs us everything." As the *Odyssey* approached the void, the ship shuddered violently. Alarms blared, and red warning lights flashed across the panels. "It's pulling us in," Jake shouted, struggling to maintain control. Laura worked quickly to stabilize the systems. "The gravitational pull is too strong. We need to break free or risk getting sucked in." Ryan clenched his jaw. "Activate the harmonic resonance device. Now." Dr. Blake hesitated, her hands hovering over the controls. "If we use it too soon, it might not work. We need to get closer." Kayla stepped forward, her voice steady despite the chaos. "Then I'll go. I can manually trigger the device while you hold the void at bay." "No," Ryan said firmly. "We stick together. That's how we've made it this far." But Kayla shook her head. "This is my chance to make a difference, to prove that courage isn't just for humans." Before anyone could stop her, she dashed toward the airlock, carrying a small handheld version of the resonance device. "Kayla, wait," Laura called out, but the alien was already gone. On the main screen, they watched as she floated into the heart of the void, her figure bathed in its ominous glow. Her voice crackled over the comms. "Do what you have to do. I'll buy you time." Back on the Odyssey*, the crew fought to keep the ship intact. Jake maneuvered wildly, dodging debris pulled in by the void's immense gravity. Laura rerouted power to the shields, which were flickering dangerously. "We can't hold on much longer," she yelled. Dr. Blake activated the resonance device, her hands trembling. "It's ready," she said, "but we need to be perfectly aligned with the void's core." Ryan took a deep breath, his voice steady. "Jake, get us into position. Laura, give me everything we've got left." The ship lurched forward, aiming directly at the center of the void. Just as they lined up, a bright flash erupted from Kayla's location. Her voice came over the comms one last time. "For courage," she whispered. Then the line went silent. With no time to mourn, Ryan gave the order. "Fire the resonance pulse." Dr. Blake pressed the final button, and a wave of energy surged outward, colliding with the void. The dark mass began to destabilize, its edges fraying like smoke caught in a breeze. The Odyssey* was thrown backward by the force of the explosion, but the crew held on tightly. When the dust settled, the void was gone. The galaxy was safe, for now. In the silence that followed, the crew sat in stunned relief. Kayla's sacrifice had saved them all, and her bravery would never be forgotten. As Ryan looked out at the stars, he felt a renewed sense of purpose. Humanity, and those who chose to stand with them, had faced the darkness and emerged victorious. The Odyssey drifted silently in the aftermath of the void's destruction. The crew sat in stunned silence, their faces etched with exhaustion and grief. Kayla's sacrifice weighed heavily on all of them. Ryan Carter stared at the main screen, where the swirling darkness had once been. Now only empty space remained, cold and quiet but safe. He clenched his fists tightly, his mind replaying her final words. For courage. Dr. Emily Blake broke the silence first. Her voice was soft, trembling slightly. "She saved us," she said, tears welling up in her eyes. "She gave everything so we could stop the void." Laura Hayes nodded, wiping her own face. She wasn't like the others in the Cowardly Alliance. She chose to fight, even when it scared her. Jake Monroe leaned back in his seat, his expression unreadable. For once, he didn't have a sharp remark or sarcastic comment. Instead, he simply said, "She was braver than most of us would have been." Ryan turned to face his crew, his voice steady despite the ache in his chest. "Kayla proved that courage isn't about being fearless. It's about doing what's right, even when you're terrified. We'll honor her memory by remembering that." As the hours passed, the crew began the long process of repairing the Odyssey *. The ship had taken heavy damage during the battle with the Void, and every system needed attention. Jake worked tirelessly in the engine room, his hands moving quickly as he patched up damaged circuits. Laura stayed in the control room, running diagnostics and rerouting power to keep the ship operational. Dr. Blake helped wherever she could, her scientific expertise proving invaluable. Despite their physical exhaustion, none of them could sleep. The weight of what they had faced and lost was too fresh. Ryan wandered through the corridors of the ship, checking on his team. When he reached the observation deck, he found Laura standing alone, staring out at the stars. "You okay?" he asked gently. She shook her head. "Not really," she admitted. "I keep thinking about Kayla. What if we could have done something to save her? What if there was another way?" Ryan sighed, leaning against the railing beside her. "We'll never know for sure. But I do know this. Kayla made her choice. She believed in us, and in herself. That's something worth remembering." Back in the control room, Dr. Blake reviewed the data from the Void one last time. She wanted to understand how the harmonic resonance had worked, hoping to prevent a similar threat in the future. As she analyzed the information, she noticed something unusual, a faint signal coming from deep space. At first, she thought it might be interference, but the pattern was too deliberate. "Ryan," she called out, her voice urgent. "You need to see this." Ryan hurried over, peering at the screen. "What is it?" Dr. Blake pointed to the readings. "It's a transmission. Someone, or something, is trying to communicate." Jake joined them, frowning. "After everything we've been through, you think it's a good idea to answer?" Ryan hesitated, then nodded. "We can't ignore it. If there's even a chance it's important, we have to check it out." With that, he set a course for the source of the signal. Days later, the Odyssey arrived at a distant planet surrounded by shimmering energy fields. As they approached, a holographic message appeared on the main screen. It showed representatives of various alien species, the same ones who had once feared humanity. Their expressions were solemn, but their voices carried a newfound respect. "Humans," one of them began, "we have watched your actions. You have shown us that courage is not reckless. It is necessary. Perhaps it is time for us to change." The crew exchanged glances, unsure of what to say. Ryan stepped forward, addressing the hologram. "Change starts with trust," he said firmly. "If you're willing to work together, we'll stand beside you. But running from problems won't solve anything." The message ended without a reply, leaving the crew to wonder what the future might hold. For now, though, they felt a small sense of hope. Humanity's bravery had inspired others to reconsider their ways, and perhaps one day the galaxy would unite, not out of fear, but out of courage. As the Odyssey turned toward Earth, Ryan looked at his crew. They were battered and weary, but they had accomplished something extraordinary. Together, they had faced the darkness and emerged stronger. Whatever challenges lay ahead, they would face them as they always had, with determination, unity, and unshakable resolve. The Odyssey finally returned to Earth, its battered hull a testament to the battles it had fought and the sacrifices made along the way. As the ship descended through the atmosphere, the crew gathered in the control room, their faces reflecting a mix of pride and sorrow. Ryan Carter stood at the helm, his hand steady on the controls. "We're home," he said softly, his voice tinged with both relief and sadness. When the ship touched down, they were greeted by a crowd of officials, scientists, and reporters eager to hear their story. The crew stepped onto the landing platform, blinking in the bright sunlight. Dr. Emily Blake carried a small device containing all the data they had collected about the Void and the Cowardly Alliance. Laura Hayes held a folder filled with notes and observations from their journey. Jake Monroe, usually so quick to crack a joke, remained quiet, his thoughts clearly elsewhere. Ryan addressed the crowd, his tone calm but firm. "We faced something no one thought we could defeat," he began, "and we didn't do it alone. A brave soul named Kayla gave her life to help us stop the Void. Her courage changed not only our mission, but also the galaxy's future." He paused, glancing at his crew. "This victory belongs to everyone who refused to give in to fear." The news of humanity's triumph spread quickly across the globe. People celebrated the bravery of the crew, hailing them as heroes. But for Ryan and his team, the victory felt bittersweet. They had lost Kayla, and the scars of their journey ran deep. Still, they knew her sacrifice would not be forgotten. Dr. Blake worked tirelessly to document everything they had learned, ensuring that future generations would understand the importance of standing against fear. In the weeks that followed, representatives from the Cowardly Alliance reached out to Earth. Their tone was different now, less hostile, more curious. They expressed interest in learning from humanity, asking questions about courage, unity, and resilience. Slowly, the walls between species began to crumble. For the first time, the galaxy seemed to be moving toward cooperation rather than isolation. Laura spent hours speaking with alien diplomats, sharing stories of human history and culture. "Fear can protect you," she told them one day, "but it can also hold you back. Sometimes, taking a risk is the only way to move forward." Her words resonated deeply, sparking debates among the Alliance members about their own choices. Jake, meanwhile, struggled to adjust to life back on Earth. The weight of what they had endured lingered with him, and he often found himself thinking about Kayla. One evening, as he sat alone under the stars, Ryan joined him. "You okay?" Ryan asked gently. Jake sighed, shaking his head. "I just keep wondering if we did enough, if any of it mattered." "It mattered," Ryan replied firmly. "Because of what we did, the galaxy has a chance to change. That's worth fighting for, and worth remembering." As the months passed, humanity continued to explore the stars, guided by the lessons they had learned. The Odyssey became a symbol of hope, its name spoken with reverence across the galaxy. And though Kayla was gone, her legacy lived on, not just in the memories of the crew, but in the hearts of those who dared to dream of a better future. One night, Ryan stood outside, gazing up at the endless expanse of space. He thought about Kayla, about the Void, and about the countless possibilities waiting among the stars. Humanity had faced its greatest challenge and emerged stronger. Whatever lay ahead, Ryan knew one thing for certain: courage would always light the way.